first, all was rock. Plates grinding over each other at the core of the earth.
There's a great heat, a great intensity at the center of this giant molten ball of potential.
In time, the rocks ground out in each other the shapes of the working earth, the cogs, the pulleys, the levers at the heart of the world.
Some pieces were worthy to rise up and push out through the ceiling of existence, while others fell down back into the core where they could be used again, where they could provide further fodder.
What was once chaos became order. A rhythm, a heartbeat came to tick at the center of the world, the heartbeat of the earth. Through these factories of earth and sound and fire at the heart of the world, one being walked. The universe became aware of itself, and Jephet walked in the heart of the world.
Jephet was not separate from his world, from his creation, from everything. He was integrated in all of it. He felt the grinding in his bones. He felt the stretching in his muscles. And he felt his creation flow through him.
Jephet walked in the valleys of earth and rock and fire in the center of the world. He looked down and he saw beneath him a cliff of darkness that descended into streams, into oceans of lava. He looked up and he saw the crags of the caves and caverns stretch up, casting shadows through the valley in which he walked, the valley of shadows in which Jephet walked. But was he satisfied? Jephet asked himself this. Was he satisfied with the great machine? Was he satisfied with the sparks and the pressure and the shadows and the weight and the cogs of rock and earth?
No! He screamed out to his creation. His voice echoed out. And for a moment he thought that it might all crumble down upon him, that all his work, his effort might fall to pieces. But instead, a single rock fell down from above and crashed in front of Jephet, and it split in two.
And at the center of that rock, and out of the rock, as the heartbeat of the world ticked on, one thing emerged. At first, as if clay and rock had merged itself up into a pillar, stretching up into the sky, and then a new shape formed, a ladder of earth and clay reaching up into the sky. And Jephet looked at the ladder and looked up into the sky far above, where the earth parted to show for the first time the cosmos. And Jephet reached out tenderly
and took hold of the ladder. Jephet felt his own weight become like nothing, as this ladder pulled him up and out of this grinding darkness, this heating furnace where he had made himself. And as he rose, he turned a wary eye to the sky above.
Blackness, only black. A few places there were the lights of distant cosmos, planets that Jephet only had as distant memories in the back of his mind. And the ladder rose up higher, and for the first time he broached the surface of the earth, and he looked down, and he saw.
He saw so much wanting, so much color he had never imagined. And he reached down and he scooped up a bit of cover and he slathered it on his arm, and a rainbow appeared. And he knew that he had his palette.
His ladder carried him up above the earth, above the rock and fire and melting pots of steaming water and craters where meteors had once impacted. And he rose up above that, and he looked at the colors on his arm. He has so many to choose from. He reached down with 2 fingers, and he picked one.
Blue, he said. Blue. I love blue. And everything was blue. Oh. But there's something missing. Oh, so many other colors. Which will I choose next?
White, said Jephet. White, he said, and he took some off the, of course, where white lives on the top of the wrist. He drew it up and he flicked it up, as if spraying it wherever it must go. It spattered the upper reaches of the sky. He took another and he smeared a bit, and longer, fuller, fluffier patches of white appeared. He took some on his finger and he blew and he spit, and it splattered across the lower stratosphere.
And it was so beautiful, it was so grand that he felt tears streaming down his face and falling into the clouds below, where they got absorbed and sucked in by its fluffiness. And he felt the wonder that was creation. But higher yet he rose until he could look down upon the world beneath him. But it was darker. It was darker than it had been before, darker than he remembered it. And he pulled out a dab of yellow and carefully placed it in the sky where a great brightness now shone.
Jephet went to work. He worked for many days. Many days. Now, some people will tell you that Jephet was a master from the very beginning. These are lies. Jephet's first creations were, rough, to say the least. Later on, he went back and he redid the sky, the whole thing. He did blue, he did white, he did a number of other shades. At one point, Jephet acquired a paintbrush, and with that, he was able to do finer and finer work. It took many, many days before he could begin to make the creatures of the world, the plants, the trees, the detail work that fleshed out the portrait.
And Jephet looked down upon his creation, knowing that it was built solid, knowing that it had a core that would go on, knowing that he had put every last ounce of himself into this place. And as he stared down on it, he thought, is there room for me here in my creation? Is there room for me? And he gazed up into the blackness beyond. He gazed outward into the darkness.
Jephet knew that soon it would be time for him to go. But there was one thing left for him to do here. One thing that he must do before he left. Jephet took the paint from his wrist, and he made a dab, and he took the next color, he made another dab near that, and another, and another, and another. And what Jephet painted then, no one would have predicted. Jephet made a perfect replica of the palette on his arm. He left that there for anyone to find, any one of the animals, any one of the plants, any one of the things that he had made, to find that color palette there. And with that, Jephet knew his work was done.
And so Jephet, in his infinite wisdom, made himself a vehicle befitting of his grandness. A shark spaceship that would cruise through the galaxy, overseeing other worlds, creating new places. Yes, there was so much work to be done for Jephet.
And so, in his vessel of the gods, its eyes lit up like high beams. Jephet took to space between the worlds, sailing wherever gods go when they are done. But still, at the heart of the world, the machinery built on.
There you go.